Okay, so this wasn't really a planned video, but the volume seems to be good at the moment and I'm on a little bit of a roll. Um, I read two reports, one just now and one earlier today, that remind us of the fact that the beautiful game is not always so beautiful, by which I mean football or soccer for my American viewers. So one incident, a guy was slashed across the face. Now, it looks like he was involved in the trouble. He was no saint himself. Um, in a match between Everton and Millwall. And in another incident, I've just seen a video of Millwall fans chanting racist slogans. I'd rather be, and this is quote unquote, Packy than a Scouser. That may actually be the same event, the same match. Um, this sort of relates to the video I made earlier about masculinity versus so called toxic masculinity. Definitely, there is a negative side to masculinity, so to speak. Um, Hooliganism is not caused by feminism. Hooliganism is not caused by femininity. It's caused by pathetic dickheads who have no self control. I've always had contempt for football hooligans, and if people think that's too strong a term, I would suggest that the sort of people who make chants would have no problem getting into violent confrontations in another scenario. So I don't consider hooliganism just to be like guys uh, beating the pulp out of one another. I think hooliganism is a wide spectrum. It also includes that sort of loutish behaviour. Last year, when England played Sweden and England defeated Sweden, and that mob stormed IKEA, I felt sick to the core. Now the apologist said, "Oh, it's just a bit of banter. It's just a bit of fun." No, that was an ugly act of jingoism, and it was a national embarrassment. And I remember at the time, the police were strangely slow to act on that. I remember the Metropolitan Police had an update saying they were investigating. You know why? I want to know why no arrests were made that day. Um, and it just brings me to the point about how we approach this. In the 70s and 80s, football hooliganism became known as the British or specifically English disease, although Scotland had its fair share of Yobs as well. And it became known as that because British hooligans were particularly notorious. Now, I don't think that today they're the worst in the world. I think the Russian, Turkish, Egyptian counterparts are possibly more dangerous and more violent. And violence in sports is something that can be seen around the world. Even in China, which is not a country that's known for that sort of problem, I heard that there was trouble at a basketball event last year. I was reading about this. I forget which city it was in, but a fight between two rival fans of two rival teams. I have no respect for people who go to a sporting event and cannot control themselves. It is absolutely pathetic. It is absolutely weak, pathetic, and I just look down on such people. I mean, what sort of life are you leading if you go to a sporting event and you get so worked up that you're going to attack a stranger because they're wearing a different, they're supporting a different team or they're representing a different team or fighter? Because this problem also exists in boxing. I do believe that a very hard line approach is needed because a lenient approach just sends out the message it's okay. So, for example, racist chanting, I think such people should be named and shamed, and I think they should be threatened with very long bans. And I know people will say it's impossible to police all of this. I accept the logistics are not easy, but I do think that it needs to be more than rhetoric. These people are not just an embarrassment, they're dangerous because this is the sort of mentality that leads to hate crimes, and it disgusts me to the core. But I think we do need to challenge this laddish mentality that it's a bit of banter. If you're saying that, then fuck you. You're part of the problem. I do feel strongly about it. I'm not talking about high spirits. I'm not talking about enthusiastic support. I'm talking about specifically racist chanting. I'm talking about sectarian chanting. I'm talking about violence. I'm throwing a coin at someone incidentally. I mentioned the Neil Lennon incident earlier. Anyone that thinks that is harmless is a deluded Neanderthal because a coin is a hard object. It can blind someone. I mean, what the hell? What the hell is wrong with people? So yeah, I guess you could say this is toxic masculinity in play. And we need to support the police in cracking down on this. Judges, there needs to be pressure on judges to start taking action. Certain clubs are more notorious than others. Millwall has a very serious problem. There's other clubs. But, I think part of the problem is the excuses that are made. Not necessarily the Yobs themselves, because they've got shit for brains. They're going to do what they're going to do. But it's the people who make excuses for them and who think this sort of thing is harmless. It's the year 2019, for goodness sake. And you think that chanting at players, black players, like they're monkeys is okay? Or using racial slurs? It just, it makes me sick, to be honest. Anyway, I'll round it up there, but I personally believe that the so-called beautiful game needs to show that it is still the beautiful game, and it needs to purge these people. Now, there is a school of thought that says, oh, but then you're getting rid of a big part of the fan base. If that's the price that has to be paid, then so be it. These are measures that need to be taken. And I will say this, hooligans are absolute cards, and they need to be told by a judge, you are a card. Why are they cards? Because the classic action of a card is to hide behind a group, not take accountability for their own actions. I want to see these people individually held to account, named and shamed, and told to their face, you are a criminal, you're a yob, and you're going to be held to account for what you're doing. And it is this laddish mentality, oh, it's just a bit of banter or it's harmless. That needs to be challenged. This sort of mentality needs to be challenged. They're just dickheads. I mean, they need to be told this is not masculine behavior. This is not manly behavior. This is the behavior of Neanderthal knuckle dragging. I'm not going to use more expletives, but you get the idea. I have total contempt for them, and there's no shame in saying that it is intimidating when you're minding your own business, whether it be in a pub or a coffee shop, and you see a bunch of louts going past chanting at the top of their lungs. By the way, there is a racial dynamic to this, and when the likes of the EDL behave like a bunch of rowdy hooligans, then they can't whinge about having an image problem. When the likes of Millwall hooligans saying no one likes us and we don't care, then they can't turn around and whinge, oh, stop picking on Millwall. Millwall is one of the worst, but they're not alone. Um, there needs to be a collective effort. Football is Britain's most popular sport. It's not going to go anywhere. It's always going to be popular. So is boxing. So both these sports, and I'm singling these two out because you don't hear about this in tennis. You don't generally hear about it in rugby or cricket. It tends to be football and boxing. Those two sports more than any other. And the governing bodies of both sports really need to get their act together. I think football, to be fair, the governing authorities have tried, but I think this ugly problem's coming back. Um, Boxing, again, there's too many apologists within the sport. And as much as am a big boxing fan, it makes me sick when I see fans jeering another fighter's national anthem or hurling abuse at a particular fighter just because a domestic fighter is facing him. It's disgusting. Just look at yourselves in the mirror. And I'm no killjoy. I get that high spirits in a big sporting event, that's fine. That's part of the environment of a big sporting event. But for God's sake, have some self control. Just don't behave like an animal. It's not rocket science.